Outcast, pronounced outcast, operating under the crooked American system too long, adjective meaning homeless or unaccepted by society. Are you an outcast, Gavin Miller Broomfield?
Sure am. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Vanguard. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in this morning. We're going to be chatting with our good friend of the show, Ron Placone, once again for our monthly segment. Always love catching up with Mr. Placone. Last time we had him on, I was sick as hell. Remember that? I was like sniffling and I could barely even get through the conversation. I was so messed up. I had allergies, I think. So luckily, I'm feeling a lot better today, and we got some good stories to talk about too. But yeah, how you doing, man?
Doing good. Excited to get Ron in here. But as always, here at the Vanguard, like to begin and end every single live stream with a massive shout out to the Patreon community. They keep the wheels on our van going round and round and the lights on here at the Vanguard studio, Casa del Vanguard. So shout out to all of you Vanguardians, comrades, super Vanguardians. You're all comrades to us. Just hit that like button, that subscribe button, and the notification bell.
Yeah, shout out to the Patreon community. Really appreciate the support, guys. The link's going to be in the description. As always, patreon.com/the Vanguard channel. If you like our show and want to support an independent left program, even just $5 a month really helps. So hit up that link in the description, guys. Patreon.com/the Vanguard channel. If you're interested in becoming a comrade or a Vanguardian, and again, supporting the work that Zach and I do, we're 100% independent. Don't take any sponsorship money or anything like that. We're all viewer funded. So really appreciate the support, guys. Links in the description. And yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in so far. Let's hit that like button, everyone. Great way to support the show as well, totally for free. But yeah, what's up, everyone? Good morning to you, subtext. I guess it's the afternoon now. But yeah, pretty cold here in Kansas City. A little bit sunnier today than yesterday, which was nice. But still chilly. I was walking over to get my coffee. My car is still in the shop, if you can believe it. So I had to I'm walking over to get my coffee, freezing my ass off. Just got out of the shower, so my hair was like freezing to my scalp. Anyway,
but then a lone angel emerged, barreling down the road in a red Ford Fiesta, flags you down and says, "Sir, would you like a ride back to your apartment?" I mean, hey, sometimes it's just fate.
I did appreciate that.
But yeah, do we have anybody tuning in from Buffalo? Because you guys have gotten an insane amount of snow. The most snow ever in a 24-hour period in New York State history of recording snowfall. So yeah, weather guard over sports guard. Hey, hater. Okay. I like the sports guard, but I know it's me and like Mike H and like 3 of our other anonymous listeners.
I think people like the sports guard. I think they do. But yeah, we're super excited to be chatting today with Ron Placone, good friend of the show. You guys know Ron, I'm sure. He's a great guy. Always love chatting with him. And I guess without further ado, what's up, Ron Placone?
What's up? How you guys doing?
Going, man?
Doing good.
I don't know if there's anyone tuning in from Buffalo, but I was about to be like, it's a little chilly in SoCal today too. But I'm like, I should probably just keep that to myself. I mean, it is, but yeah, it's just like people start getting out their winter gear whenever it's like 60 degrees in their apartment. So it's a little different out there. And hey, if it makes you guys feel any better about Sport Guard, whenever I tweet about hockey, I swear to God, there's like 2 people on this planet who give a shit, and nobody. It's just like if I ever needed to go like get off grid, or go like just go into hiding, I wish somehow one of my tweets about hockey could be a place, because then nobody would ever find me there. Nobody. I'd be completely anonymous as long as I needed to be. No one gives a shit when I tweet about hockey.
What's your hockey team, Ron? I actually went to my first NHL hockey game ever just a few weeks ago, and honestly, dude, it was an amazing time. It
yeah,
was
isn't it great?
A baseball game, but not quite as unruly as people get at Chiefs games. You're also inside, so it's not like freezing fucking cold while you watch the game. But I was at a Bruins game, and people in Boston take hockey pretty fucking seriously. I did not realize that.
Yes, they do. Well, my wife is a Bruins fan because she grew up in Massachusetts. I'm a Pittsburgh Penguins fan because I grew up in Pittsburgh. And so yeah, whenever it's Bruins Pens, we are a household divided. But you know, when the Bruins are out, or excuse me, when the Bruins are out, she roots for the Pens, and when the Pens are out, I root for the Bruins. So you know, we're good. good spouses in that regard. But yeah, I'm a Pens fan. And I think that's why hockey is kind of my sport of choice. It's just so much freaking fun live. And I kind of see that kind of parallel to like stand-up comedy, even like a lot of people where they're like, I'm not really that into stand-up comedy. When you're like, well, have you ever seen it live? Usually their answer is no, and it's the same thing with hockey. It's like, oh, I'm not that into hockey. Well, have you ever been to a game? Usually their answer is no, because it's one of those things like you have to experience it in person. It's not quite, I mean, I love watching it on TV too, but there's nothing quite like a live hockey game.
Yeah, that's so true about comedy as well. It's definitely not the same when you're just watching like a Netflix special or something versus the real deal.
It's not the same. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Also, thank you so much, Bruce Stevens. Really appreciate the $4.99, man. Buffalo's weather's the second biggest L of this month. Skull Vikes. What's that in reference to? Do you know, Zach?
Yeah, he's talking about how they got their ass beat in a brutal fucking game against the Vikings, and Buffalo was up for a majority of the game, and then Vikings just clawed their way back to the victory, and that was a big L for Buffalo. Buffalo beat the Chiefs though. They kind of spanked us. They're 2-1 over us last season, so hopefully we meet them again in the playoffs and we can punish them like we did last year. But yeah, shout out to you, Bruce.
They have a long history of just like it doesn't go great for them, right? Buffalo, like they lost the Super Bowl the most times, and wasn't it last year that they were supposed to like this is their year, and then they lost in the playoffs? Like they got upset.
They lost to the Kansas City Chiefs, baby.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I don't follow the NFL much anymore, but I remember I have a couple of close friends who are Bills fans. They had this they had this long screed of thoughts when like the Bills lost, and they were just like, yet again we underperform, and I'm like, hey, I respect your.
To be fair, the Vikings have also had a pathetically terrible history of not making it to the Super Bowl, and when they do make it to the Super Bowl, they've always lost. So hey, at least it went to a deserving foe.
Yeah, I think is there something about like when you have a franchise back. You have an amazing running game, but it never quite translates into the ring, right? Because, I mean, look, like Adrian Peterson, they couldn't build. I mean, did they ever get a Super Bowl with him?
No,
And
they've
then,
never gotten a Super Bowl, and it's just because the game evolved after the Brady era to being such a fucking quarterback's game. I mean,
sure.
really, Joe Montana, Brett Favre, Tom Brady, they just changed the game too much. You can't win with just a back anymore.
Yeah, dude. Well, it's like, but it goes back kind of far too, because it's like they never. I mean, obviously, the Detroit Lions were never able to build anything around Sanders for years and years, and then you also had the Chargers with LaDainian Tomlinson. They were never quite able to build something around that. So it's almost like, man, if you have the best running back in the game, it might be a curse.
Chiefs have had some dank running backs too, but we were never able to put anything together. But anyway, shout out to you, Bruce.
Yeah, thanks so much, Bruce. Really appreciate the super chat, man. And yeah, let's segue into talking a bit about the news. I know one thing that you've been talking a little bit about on Twitter and your own show, Ron, is the Los Angeles mayoral election. Billionaire pro-police real estate developer Rick Caruso was running, and luckily was bested by Karen Bass. I'll throw this article up on screen. This one's really funny, guys. Rick Caruso spent $104 million of his own money.
I thought it was more. I was hearing 110. That's like the number you usually hear. Maybe it was only 104 and they just rounded it up because when you're a billionaire, 104, 110, what's the difference? But
maybe
yeah,
I think this might have been his own money, and maybe the other 6 million was like invested or donated or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But 110 is always the number you hear.
Interesting. Well, according to this article, he ran for mayor of Los Angeles with more money than any previous candidate and a plan to overwhelm his opponent with new and infrequent voters. Oops. And I went back to the old page. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah. So he had more money than any previous candidate and was trying to appeal to voters fed up with politics and dysfunction in America's second largest city, of course, that being Los Angeles. And it wasn't enough, not by a long shot. In his first run for political office, the billionaire developer lost decisively to Representative Karen Bass after spending $104 million, most of it of his own money. The strategy of swamping his opponent with advertising, tagging her as a City Hall insider, and spending sending out a paid army to knock on doors failed to sway voters across much of Los Angeles, according to preliminary precinct totals and political analysts who say the avalanche of ads might also have caused some voter fatigue. And that really reminds me actually of Michael Bloomberg, who you guys might remember was the mayor of New York City and then ran for the Democratic Party nomination for president in 2020. And Mike Bloomberg also spent millions and millions of his own dollars only to embarrassingly lose that primary. And similarly, he also had a very ad-centric strategy, just blanketed the airwaves with ads all over the internet. You couldn't escape them. And I think that, as this article points out, that also led to a little bit of fatigue from voters who just got sick of seeing his face and his stupid ads and really got the sense that he was just trying to buy the nomination. But what was your perspective on this, Ron, as someone who lives in the area and was certainly paying attention to all this going down?
I am relieved that Rick Caruso will not be mayor of Los Angeles. Karen Bass is not great. Like, I wasn't thrilled to vote for her, but I mean, I did because I just thought, well, I still do think like Caruso is that dangerous as a mayor. I mean, and it's very, very humorous, this whole idea that he's the anecdote if you're fed up with the way things are going. That is comically absurd on multiple levels, unless you have absolutely no clue how Los Angeles has been working the past 10 plus years. What we have now with Eric Garcetti, who has been an absolute atrocious mayor, is he's really made this city a developer's playground. And what they do is they use the police to brutalize the homeless, to push them into whatever area they want, and then they develop and gentrify elsewhere, and then they push the homeless somewhere else. And in the meantime, they will sell things to other oligarchs, then buy it back from other oligarchs, and it's all to just profit as much as possible. It's brutal, it's inhumane, it's completely unsustainable. Rick Caruso wanted to do that times 10. He wasn't an anecdote to the status quo. He was the status quo on steroids. He was going to be Garcetti times 11. Whereas Karen Bass is just going to be, in my opinion, a not so great mayor who's going to make some decisions that are going to tick all of us off. But at least she's going to give the progressive movement that is entering City Hall in LA, she's going to give them a seat at the table. So yeah, it is a considerably better option. And this whole idea that Caruso was some kind of outsider, I mean, it's like, I think it's even more bogus than Trumpian logic, to tell you the truth. It's absolutely ridiculous, to the point where I did something I almost never do. And I even weighed in on some things on Twitter about it, because it was frustrating seeing certain personalities buy into that BS. Because it's, I mean, you're either, I'm sorry, to buy into that, you are either profoundly ignorant on how LA politics works, or you're just not being honest.
Right. And here's Cenk Uygur, who you probably were just referencing. We had Jordan Sheraton on to talk about this debacle, but Cenk threw his support behind Rick Caruso and predicted he would win, saying that Bass ran on maintaining the current system, but running it better. Caruso ran on change. If you don't like things the way they are, you vote for change. And as you referenced, Ron, it's not a real change. It's just a status quo on steroids. That's a perfect way to put it.
It's a worse version of what we have now. He wants more police. He wants, and it's like, and it's not like, oh, this is about serving and protecting. Of course it's not. It's about just brutalizing the most marginalized in the community for them to make as much money as they want. And look at Rick Caruso's track record. He obtained all this property like through dishonest ways and through all kinds of like deals and stuff like that. And he just would make these strip malls. I mean, that's all. He just wants to do that on a larger scale. Why do you think somebody would spend millions and millions of dollars for a job that pays like what, $250K a year, $300K a year, something like that? Why would you do that? Well, because instead of being the developer buying the mayor, you just want to skip the middleman. That's what he wanted to do. And you know, it's very sad that there's some personalities that should know better that bought into that. It's again, at best, very, very ignorant. At worst, you're just lying to your audience.
Well, Ron, I would love to know what it's like for you, because apparently the entire state of California has become Skid Row, a lawless mass of land, likened only to what Kurt Russell faced in Escape from New York, is what I understand. The entire region is just overrun by outlaws and criminals. So I mean, what do you expect of people? But seriously, my main question is, though, is when you talk to regular people on the ground, right? Because Gavin and I, we obviously have a biased view, right? We've been exposed to people who you would think, like you mentioned, would know better. The TYT crowd that really bought in, and honestly, not just bought in, but sold people the line about, the homelessness and the crime and all of this is so out of hand. And then you have the people who naturally push back on that, and they say, like, oh, come on, guys, like, this is ridiculous. Like, of course there's poverty in California. Look at how expensive rent is. Like, if you don't want to deal with how expensive rent is, then you don't actually care about this. Rick Caruso obviously not running on fucking rent control, neither is Karen Bass, but you know what I'm saying,
right?
What are people that you just talk to in your own neighborhood, like when you're going for a walk on the beach, like, if you pick somebody's brain, what are people what are people saying, Ron?
Nobody talks to me at the beach, Zach. I'm one of the, so at the beach I go to make my goofy videos, I'm one of the characters at the beach now. So there's a guy in a Nacho Libre mask who skateboards and plays music from a boombox. And then there's the guy who walks around talking into his phone. I'm that guy. And so we're among the characters in my neighborhood beach here in San Pedro. So I only talk to the people who already know me, and it's usually it's usually a fun chat. But I think that Los Angeles has made it clear that we kind of understand doing more of the same is not going to solve our problems. We have done this, system of let's just over police this place. Let's have more quote unquote law and order, which really is the opposite of law and order, what the police do here. And let's just have these sweeps in the name of it being sanitary. Really, it's just a brutal, cruel way to treat any human being. It hasn't worked. They've been doing this for 10 plus years. What's happened during that time? Homelessness has doubled in Los Angeles. So not only is it morally disgusting, it is simply not working. And I think as a whole, the city of LA is really starting to realize that. And what am I basing that off of? Well, first of all, Rick Caruso lost. But second of all, going another place here, there is a candidate in local politics here in LA that got more votes than anybody else, and I think is on path to get over 500,000 votes as an individual. He got more votes than Rick Caruso. He got more votes than Karen Bass. I'm talking about Kenneth Mejia, a 31-year-old certified public accountant who prior ran for Congress as a Green, who ran for city controller of LA. And he had an amazing ground game consisting mostly of Gen Z and a couple some millennials, but mostly Gen Z. I mean, people in their 20s. He's 31 years old himself. And they did an amazing ground game online. And they also did an amazing ground game on the streets where they invested in billboards that showed you what the city budget of LA was actually doing and showed you how the line going to the police was about twice the size of literally everything else, and how it's not working and how it's not and how it is unsustainable. That guy got more votes than anybody else. He's the most popular person in local politics right now. For me personally, I actually realized this the other night. This was the first time in my life, Kenneth Mejia's campaign was the first time in my life, not embellishing, where somebody, that's one of his billboards, where somebody who I supported from the beginning actually won. That's never happened to me before in my life. I hope it's the start of a new tomorrow. But, as a leftist in the United States, I've never had somebody. Now, there's been people who I just begrudgingly voted for who would win. But, I didn't support Karen Bass in the primary. I supported Gina Viola. She was the actual lefty option. So Kenneth Mejia is the first time in my life where in any race that I was able to vote in, the person who I supported from the beginning actually freaking won. So it's a weird feeling. I still don't even know how to take it, to tell you the truth.
Interesting.
but it feels kind of cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've definitely seen these billboards, and I have heard of Kenneth Mejia, so that's really cool. We'll maybe try to get him on the show or something like that. Although probably he's busy now. But yeah, I was wondering, Ron, because you mentioned that you voted for Karen Bass against Rick Caruso, and some people might be wondering, like, have you changed your outlook on the concept of like voting for the lesser of two evils? Of course, you were once
No,
part of the.
because I first of all, local politics is different than federal and state.
Mhm,
And second of all, like if you're gonna say lesser of two evils, that's acknowledging that both sides are in fact evil.
mhm,
And in a case like this, and I even tweeted this, I'm like, look, Karen Bass isn't an evil in this case. She's just a lousy.
right.
And again, when you're talking about local politics, you're talking about a mayor. It's not like these people are going to be voting on federal policies. They're not, because otherwise you would just have a choice between two corporate Democrats, because Rick Caruso is a registered Democrat too now. But when you look at what a mayor does, what a mayor can do, and what it was very obvious a Rick Caruso wanted to do, that was the political evil, not Karen Bass, who is just probably going to piss us off sometimes and not piss us off other times.
Right.
So, yeah, to me, it was like there is clearly a big difference between these choices. And I'm going to vote for Karen Bass, even though I'm not thrilled about it. If both candidates were like Karen Bass level, I probably would have left it blank and let my city decide. I'd be like,
Mhm.
well, whatever. I do think Karen Bass will be a little bit better than Eric Garcetti. So I would probably have just resigned myself and been like, well, either one of them will be better than what we got now. So I'll let my community decide. I don't really want to vote for either one of these candidates. But yeah, with someone like Rick Caruso, when you have somebody like that trying to take over your city, I think you got to go for the alternative.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that line of logic because I'm a third party voter. Also, I have been a third party
Hmm.
voter in all the presidential elections that I've ever voted for. I voted for Jill Stein in 2016. I voted for Howie Hawkins in 2020.
Hmm.
I couldn't bring myself to vote for Hillary or Joe Biden, despite the fact that I didn't want Donald Trump to be president when he lost. I was happy about that, but I just wasn't going to vote for Joe Biden. That being said, I agree.
It's
I
a
think it's
weird
a,
place to be, man, but it's
yeah,
okay to feel that way. I mean, because I'm the same. I
yeah.
voted for Stein and then I voted for Hawkins. The way I always put it to people, I'm like, look, I've never voted Republican before in my life. And when I say that, I include Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton. And, I just, but I was in the same camp where it's like, yeah, I'm happy Trump is gone. I'm not happy Biden is here.
Right. Yeah, I think Zach and I were talking about it, and that's exactly what I said. I was like, I wasn't happy that Joe Biden won. I was just happy that Donald Trump lost. But I agree that when it comes to a race like LA mayoral race, Karen Bass, not a great candidate, probably not who I would have preferred. But if it comes down to someone like her and someone like Rick Caruso, I absolutely would have pulled the lever for Bass as well. So I totally sympathize with that logic there.
Well, and here in LA too, again, I'm not thrilled about her, but she does have a history with community engagement with like some of the activists here, especially some of the activists in San Pedro where I live. So it's like there is an olive branch, and that's an olive branch that does not exist currently with Eric Garcetti. And that's an olive branch that certainly would not have existed with a Rick Caruso. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not thrilled about her, but I am relieved that Rick Caruso will not be taking over and giving a more amplified version of a lousy status quo. And I am pretty confident she will be better than Garcetti. How much better? I hope she proves me wrong and exceeds my expectations because, short answer, not much, but a little better. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. I know one of the other things that we wanted to kind of segue into, speaking of billionaires and their overarching control, and it is just ludicrous that it even has to be a conversation between like, well, should we vote for this, oligarch who spent his entire career as a Republican and is trying to buy control over the city of Los Angeles with $100 million, or, this pretty bad, but, relatively better politician named Karen Bass. I mean, I just think it's honestly ludicrous to me as somebody who doesn't live in LA that was even like an intense debate among the like kind of left. But I want to talk about another.
I don't think it really was, to tell you the truth. I mean, I think it was like, Cenk Uygur was vocal about his support. And I don't know if the rest of TYT was or not. I have no idea. I guess, I get the vibe Anna was, because when I tweeted at Cenk, she like came to his defense or whatever.
And then she blocked
But
us on Twitter. LOL, salty nuts, Anna.
oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, whatever. But like, I don't think that many. I think most people on the left, they either kind of saw the need that it's like, okay, I'm going to vote for Bass, or they left it blank. I doubt there's many lefties out there in LA who voted for Caruso.
Yeah, Cenk Uygur stands alone as the one leftist that threw his support behind a
Well,
leftist.
I cordially disagree, because I wouldn't call him a leftist.
Yeah, no, that's
but-
why I put it in quotes. Yeah. Also, before we get into Elon, thank you so much to Blues Guy for the $5. Ron, you coming back to Gainesville, Florida?
Absolutely, man. I want to go to Fest next year. So email the folks at Fest and tell them I want Ron Placone on the comedy stage. Every little bit helps. So hopefully I'll be doing Fest in 2023. But either way, yeah, next time I'm in Florida, Gainesville is always on the short list because full disclaimer, it is my favorite city in Florida. If I had to pick a favorite, I had a lot of fun shows in Florida. I don't want to, but Gainesville is my favorite.
I don't think I've actually been to Gainesville. I've been around Florida, but never to Gainesville, at least not that I'm in my memory.
I feel like you dig it, man. It's one of the nation's great college towns, and you can kind of feel it while you're there. The only thing it's got going against it is it's a while to the beach, which a lot of places in Florida do not have that problem, but Gainesville does. But it's so cool that it's like, yeah, if I ever lived in Florida, which I don't really see happening, but if I ever lived in Florida for some reason, I would pick Gainesville. I do this game with my sister-in-law randomly enough. I don't know why it's our thing, but my one sister-in-law and I, we do this little fun game where we like have a map of the United States, and we're like, if you had to live in this state, where would you live? And then we talk about our answers. I don't know why it's a random thing to have with a sister-in-law or with anyone, but
well, you've been around a lot. I mean, touring definitely gives you a lot of experience,
Yeah.
I guess.
well, I think that's why, because she likes to travel a lot. I mean, both my sister-in-laws, they really like to travel a lot, and so does my wife. But like, we one day we were on like a ferry together, and there was this random map of just the United States, like it was just a decoration or whatever. There was like a map of the United States. So we just started, like, I was like, if you had to live at where would you live if you had to live in that state? And we just kind of did that throughout the entire ferry ride. There wasn't any service, so we couldn't be engulfed by our phones. So we had to talk.
Yeah, I've never been to Gainesville, but I do like Florida. I feel like I always end up going more to the south in Florida, though. That's kind of Gainesville. I just looked as a little closer to Jacksonville, Gavin. But anyway,
Miami's dope, man. I mean, I like, and honestly, like, I like Orlando. I mean, I spent some time in Orlando. It's a fun place, but yeah, Gainesville. There's just a certain rhythm to Gainesville. I really dig it. I always like going there.
Interesting. I've only been to Orlando a couple times, but I was not a fan. Maybe I didn't go to the right parts, but it just seems super corporate and touristy.
It is. You got to give it time, and you do have to go to those right parts. You gotta get to know it a little bit, and you gotta kind of figure out where to go. I mean, I guess like most cities, that's the case. But I feel like Orlando, because it kind of does give the vibe of like, hey, it looks like there was a strip mall here, and they decided to have a city. Like you kind of got to figure out like the places to go, but there are cool places to go.
Yeah, I'm sure there are. No shade if you're a listener from Orlando. The parts I was in were not my favorite, but yeah. Do we want to talk a little bit about Mr. Musk?
Yeah,
Elon Musk. So you're a big digital rights advocate, Ron. I know we all view the Twitters of the world, the social media platforms, as kind of the new public square. And I think that fact makes Elon Musk's assault on Twitter so much more offensive. The fact that this vital tool for online communication in the digital age can just be so easily messed with by some billionaire with a big ego and complete incompetence. So this has definitely been funny to watch him just come in here and kind of run roughshod over the norms and the previously established traditions of how Twitter is operated. But it's also been kind of scary from that perspective. Again, these are the people that control our society, these oligarchs, these billionaires. And here we have a perfect microcosm of their managerial incompetence and the fact that they don't actually know what the fuck they're doing, and the fact that they're all actually pretty stupid, especially Elon Musk, and completely belligerent, completely arrogant, and it's resulted in total upheaval over at Twitter, which again is not. I mean, some people laugh at, oh, Twitter is just where a bunch of stupid terminally online people hang out or what. No, it's actually a vital tool for communication. It's really important for independent journalism. It's really important for independent news outlets, etc. A lot of discourse happens on Twitter that's very important to the conversation and online discourse. So what's your take on all of this? We're going to get into a few specifics about some of the new rules that Elon Musk is talking about implementing, and some more stuff like that. But what's been your perspective on this whole debacle as it has spiraled out of control, Ron?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things going on here. So first of all, I think overall, Elon Musk is like the dog who caught the car. He had no idea what he was really getting into. He has no idea like how, I mean, I guess he has no idea how like brands and advertising works, or he's just pretending he doesn't, because, he was making it out like, oh, if you don't advertise on Twitter, you just don't support freedom of speech, because that's what I'm all about. Dude, that's not how. That would be like me or you guys going, if you don't advertise on the Vanguard, you're not supporting our freedom of speech. Could you please advertise on our podcast and not stop violating our First Amendment rights? Like, just email every brand, be like, I'm going to do something about this. You're violating my rights by not advertising on my podcast. That's not how it works. Like if he wants to take the website in a certain direction and people don't like that direction, so they're leaving the website, which is happening. Twitter is losing users, and advertisers are like, we don't want to be affiliated with this, and you're losing users. They have every right to go wherever they want. Freedom of speech law has nothing to do with this. So, he's trying to appease them while also trying to appear as this quote unquote free speech warrior. Although he has demonstrated time and time again, he doesn't understand what free speech actually is, or he's like pretending not to, even with his latest, like, well, you can tweet whatever, but if it's negative, no one will see it. Well, what is that? What's negative? What gives you the authority, other than you bought the platform? What gives you the authority to decide like what is negative? Like what does that mean? Like it's very. And then as we're doing an autopsy here, there was a really amazing piece that came out in Time that was written by one of my Fight for the Future colleagues, Evan Greer. She's brilliant. And as we're now doing an autopsy on Twitter itself, we're finding out that, well, Twitter was far from perfect, and there were a lot of things to be frustrated about in regards to Twitter. They were doing some decent things that kind of made it, in my opinion, a little bit better than an Instagram and a Facebook. Like they had, there was a part of Twitter that was dedicated to First Amendment law and to try to, implement First Amendment policies in regards to the platform itself. So supposed free speech warrior Elon Musk comes in. You would think he would try to collaborate with them and would try to say, hey, how can I make it even easier for you to do your job? How can I help? How can we make this platform even better? You'd think he would do that if that's what he's supposedly committed to. What did he do instead? He fired all of them. He fired all of those people. So, I think that overall it has gotten worse. I mean, he's just sort of making up these rules as he goes along, and he has no idea what he's doing. Most of the staff has left. I mean, some of the reports out there, like, it's like he doesn't really know like what's going on with coding. He doesn't really know like what's going on with like running this site. I mean, it kind of reminds you of when Donald Trump first took office, where you had people dropping like flies. No one wanted to work with the guy. And what do they both have in common? I mean, other than like right-wing politics, they're both just dictionary narcissists. Like they're both
rich
just straight
kids.
up and rich kids. They're both rich kids who never had to work for anything a day in their life, and they're both narcissists. And the one kind of interesting one piece of good news in a sea of bad is that before he got Twitter, Elon Musk was saying that DMs should have encryption protection, which I agree with. I think all of our DMs should have encryption protection. That's a good thing. So some people called him out on that. They said, "Hey, Elon, do you still feel this way, or have you changed your mind because you're the guy who has access to all of our DMs now?" Well, supposedly there is some hearsay out there that they are doing some coding to get encryption on all of our DMs and Twitter. And Elon, when he was asked about it, gave like a smiling, winky face. So again, it's just hearsay. I'm not saying it's happening because we don't know yet, but there is some grumbling out there that that might be happening. So we'll see. That could be a little bit of good news in a sea of bad. But yeah, overall, is this the beginning of the end? I don't know. I kind of hope not. Like you said, like Twitter, it's not perfect, but it is a valuable tool. I don't want to see it go away. But if it does go away, I guess we'll just see what comes next.
Right. I thought Mac from over at the Good Politic Guy channel really nailed it on the head here. He says, Elon really bought Twitter, walked in confidently like he was going to nail this shit, fired a majority of employees, chaotically deployed shitty ideas, destroyed security infrastructure, imploded ad revenue, and then decided he doesn't want to lead the company within 2 weeks. So kind of
It's
destroys the
amazing.
whole myth of the meritocracy, right? And this notion that Elon Musk is somehow a brilliant genius, Tony Stark figure. No, he's an incompetent loser. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He's a complete fucking moron. And now the policies that he's implementing largely are antithetical to the ideas that he supposedly decided to buy Twitter for in the first place. We mentioned this one. He says, new Twitter policy is freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach. Negative/hate tweets will be max deboosted and demonetized, so no ads or other revenue to Twitter. You won't find this tweet unless you specifically seek it out, which is no different from the rest of the internet. And again, it's policies like this, which he supposedly bought Twitter in the first place to reverse, because he didn't want this cabal of blue-haired liberal wokesters on the West Coast, making these decisions and deprioritizing hate speech and, blocking Jordan Peterson for dead naming Elliot Page and stuff like that. And you want to talk about hate tweets or quote unquote negative tweets. Let's not forget that Elon Musk himself is a notorious Twitter troll. Remember this exchange between him and his former partner Grimes, where he said pronouns suck. And then she famously responded saying, "I love you, but please turn off your phone and give me a call. I cannot support hate. Please stop this. I know this isn't in your heart." Like, that's a negative tweet. Elon Musk is a notorious troll on Twitter, known for posting toxic right-wing garbage. So will his own tweets be deprioritized under this new system of freedom of reach, as he says? Like, I just don't understand how this is at all in line with the ideology that he went in here trying to impose.
Well, it was all.
Oh, sorry. Well, I was just going to point out too, he's a hypocrite on multiple levels too, because he also will like delete accounts that make fun of him. I mean, one of my favorite comedians in LA, a comic named Robin Tran, she got her account completely deleted. Like they completely permanently suspended her account because she made fun of Elon Musk. So yeah, he's a hypocrite on multiple levels here.
Oh yeah, and that's the whole game with these right-wing billionaire culture warriors, right? What did Elon Musk really desire when he bought Twitter? He was in a massive echo chamber amongst other right-wing aristocrats that were saying, "Hey, man, look at the crazy libs that are controlling this website. Won't you liberate us, Elon? Just buy this company and liberate us." But what did he really want? He just wanted people to not be able to be mean to him on this website. He wanted to be the chief twit that could call the shots and make it so that everybody would just love Elon. Like, he's just such a little twerp. It would almost be sad if he wasn't such a ginormous piece of shit. He's just so insecure, and like he's so starved for any kind of like meaningful connection, because he's surrounded himself by yes men that are only just leeching on him because he's the richest man in the world. He doesn't get to have any authentic human interaction with anybody that just wants to interact with him on a human basis. So he's like, I know, I will buy the platform where I do most of my interacting, and I will make sure everybody is nice to me. It is kind of like that scene in The Office where it's Michael Scott as a child, and he's like, I want to grow up and have 1,000 kids so that I can have 1,000 friends and then nobody can say no to being my friend. That's what Elon Musk did. He tried to just fucking buy Twitter so he could scrub it from anybody that was mean to him, and the world revolted. And now he probably feels even worse about himself than he ever has, which mission accomplished internet. But yeah, it just seems like this was all
That's
a vanity
fun
project.
analogy. Yeah, that's a fun analogy. The other one, so I wish I could give credit here, but somebody tweeted, and I forget who tweeted it, so I can't give credit, but I'm not, like so whoever did it, credit to them, go follow them. But they tweeted something like Elon Musk buying Twitter. It has like the whole Jack Skellington bringing Christmas or bringing Halloween Town to Christmas Town vibes. I thought that was like a beautiful, beautiful analogy. It's so freaking funny. That tweet went viral. I forget who tweeted it, but shout out to them. That was a brilliant tweet.
That's pretty funny. That is a perfect analogy.
That's really funny. That's really funny.
Also, shout out to you,
I wish I
Nikki.
could credit the person, but
Nikki says, sounds like a cool game to me, Ron. Glad to see you on the Vanguard, referring to your map game you do with your sister-in-law. That's pretty funny. Thank you, Nikki.
Play it sometime. Next time you're on a ferry and there's just a map and not much else. Let me know how it works for you. Thank you very much for that, Nikki. It's a fun time.
And Bruce is suggesting, got the tinfoil hat on over here, Twitter mess was planned to silence whistleblowers. I mean, maybe. I think it's really just a great illustration of the incompetence of a so-called genius billionaire like Elon Musk. I don't know if this was all, pre-planned or 4D chess or anything like that, but maybe, Bruce. Thanks for the super chat.
Yeah, you never know. I'm inclined to say it's just a billionaire being a douchebag, but
it's funny. Shout out to you, Bruce. I'm not sure either, but the funny thing that I saw the other day was, how Elon Musk walked in with like the faucet and everybody was like, "Oh, Jesus Christ! I didn't know he was walking in, letting everybody know he was going to sink the company." Like, I just
that was like an unintentional.
But the kitchen sink,
right? Also. Michael,
wasn't it let that sink in? Wasn't that?
That's what he said at first. Yeah, he said let it sink in. I bought, but now people are like, yeah, you sunk it. But anyway, Michael over here in the chat, bro, saying capitalists owned it before Musk and despots were. No one is defending the previous ownership. What we're pointing out is the fact that Elon Musk came in here saying he was going to change these policies and make Twitter more of a free speech platform. And now he's turned around and is instituting the exact same sort of policies, but even more censorious. So no one's defending the despots and the oligarchs and the liberal capitalists that used to own Twitter. I was not a fan of the way they ran it either. I'm not sitting here saying that they are great people or that I agree with their ideology. That's not what we're saying, Michael. We're saying that it's funny that Elon Musk came in here beating the free speech drum, saying that he was going to liberate this free speech platform and make it a free speech platform, and is now instituting policies that are getting called out by his own right-wing lackeys because they're even more fucking censorious. This was not even a policy at the old Twitter. Deprioritizing negative and hate tweets and de-boosting them and demonetizing. Like, this is taking it a whole step further, and that's why it's being called out. You add to that the incompetence of the way he's handled the managerial decisions, leading to people suggesting that Twitter might not even last through the weekend, given that it's restricted employee access to its buildings with no reason given. The entire Android team has resigned, and the World Cup, the largest sporting event in the world, starts this weekend. So that's going to be a big issue too if Twitter isn't properly staffed up. So it's really just pointing out Elon Musk's incompetence to get done what he said he was going to get done. Also, you add to that, more people on the right are calling him out for stating that he's not going to be bringing back guys like Alex Jones. People are clamoring for him to bring back Alex Jones on the right because, again, Elon Musk himself was talking about how he's going to liberate Twitter and unban everyone and, bring back free speech. But if you're not going to bring back Alex Jones, then how can you say you're in favor of free speech? Clearly, all you care about is the advertisers. Clearly, you're just going to capitulate to the profit motive and the advertisers, just like the old regime. That's what we're pointing out.
Well, actually,
that's what's so funny.
I think he could make a case there. Like, the thing with Alex Jones is Alex Jones was found guilty of violating free speech law. So it does make it a little different, I think. Like, Alex Jones, he was found guilty of defamation, which means he broke free speech law.
Right. I mean, I don't care that he's not going to bring back Alex Jones. I'm not
saying
No,
I know you don't. I'm just saying, like, from his perspective, if somebody was like, well, Elon, you said you're all about free speech, but you don't want to bring back Alex Jones. he could say Alex Jones was found guilty in a court of law through due process for violating a free speech law. He was
Right.
found guilty of defamation.
Oh, I get why Alex Jones
So
would be
that's
banned at this point. I
right.
get that. I'm just saying that the right wing does not see it like that. And that they're
Oh yeah, his
they're
fans
turning
don't
on
like it.
No,
Yeah.
they're completely turned on him for this policy and the one that I mentioned beforehand. But yeah, it's not that the people before him were any better. It's just that he's so incompetent to fix the things that he explicitly spent $44 billion in order to try to fix. This dude spent $44 billion fucking dollars in order to try to fix these censorious policies, only to come in here and find out that without said censorious policies, you're not going to be able to make this company profitable. You can't have a free speech platform as far as it's interlinked with capitalism. Like, as long as profit motive is going to rule every decision, then you're never going to have a free speech platform. That's the unfortunate reality of the situation. And if we do want to fight for a totally a free platform for totally open communication that abides by the First Amendment, we're going to have to remove it from the confines of a capitalist for-profit system.
Yeah, I mean that's the truth, man. I mean, yeah, it's but yeah, I mean, I guess to the previous commenter's point, like I didn't when everyone was like, "Oh, I'm gonna leave Twitter," I didn't leave, and I said, "Look, I mean, good luck finding a big social media platform not run by a douchebag." So it's like it's not like Elon Musk is like the only douchebag running a social media platform. He's just the only one right now taking an existing thing and making it progressively worse. Like did it have its problems before? Abso-freaking-lutely. Is it worse now? Yeah, it is worse.
Yeah, it is. Also, thank you for the $5, Costello. Really appreciate that. I think Elon is not right wing. The blue MAGA folks are now right wing. Well, he literally supports
I
Ron
think they're
DeSantis.
both right wing.
Yeah, I know we're not defending fucking Joe Biden over here or anything like that, or blue MAGA people. But I think if you support Ron DeSantis, that does like definitionally make you right. What do you think? He's a liberal? Like, he's definitely right wing.
He's a reason
Yeah.
centrist, Gavin. He's here to support good things and oppose bad things. This is the strong kind of leadership that we need coming out of Silicon Valley. If you have a strong inheritance, I will vote for you.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I
it's
don't.
definitely been an entertaining shit show. And this is a really good article too that you mentioned, Ron, over on Time. I'll throw it up on screen because I think they make some really good points too about the hypocrisy of the way Elon Musk has been talking about this, as if they're going to be getting rid of the system of lords and serfs, but in reality, he's really just the new lord of Twitter. It's day 7 of Elon Musk. This was published a while ago, but it's day 7 of Elon Musk owning Twitter, and he's making stream of conscious policy decisions in a thread on the platform. Musk promises to end Twitter's current lords and peasants system while rolling out plans for users to pay $8 a month in order to remain verified and have their posts prioritized in replies, mentions, and search. In less than a week, he's fired top executives, dissolved the company's board of directors, and used the site to spread a homophobic lie about the attack on Paul Pelosi. The unilaterally limited employees access to content moderation tools. With each of his proclamations, he's making spur-of-the-moment decisions that impact hundreds of millions of people, our democracy, and the future of online free expression. Musk is tweeting things like power to the people, but the reality is setting in. Musk is the Lord and we're all the peasants.
Mm-hmm. Well, and at the end of the day, that's sort of the theme here. It should bother everybody that a random billionaire can just buy up a social media platform that millions of people use and can just kind of do whatever they want, try to figure it out as they go. And in the meantime, they have access to all of your DMs. They have access to any payment information if you gave that over to Twitter. They have access to kind of whatever they want. And they can just kind of tank the platform. But again, by making up these vague rules as they go along, suspending accounts when they said that was what they weren't going to do. I mean, it should disturb anyone that something like this can happen. And it's like, well, how do we start fighting back against this? Well, a good place to start is some antitrust. So I will recommend all the viewers go check out bidenpromise.net, which is bidenpromise.us, which is a website to try to pressure the Biden administration into bringing the antitrust bills to a vote during the lame duck session. And it is getting some steam because recently a news piece in Time came out that said the White House is now pressuring Chuck Schumer to bring these antitrust bills to a vote. So, the campaign is working, or at least is starting to work, but we still got to be loud. So BidenPromise.us, a little bit of antitrust in the big tech sphere will go a long way to starting to break these things up, because, if we don't start breaking things up now, the internet is going to continue to descend into this just lord and peasant hellscape that it's descending into now.
Just
Where
look at
there's
the
just
just look at the Ticketmaster debacle, right? That's another big tech company monopoly. Now the the U.S. is finally looking into some antitrust issues there, but only because Taylor Swift's entire fan base had a capitalistic meltdown about it, right? But take the wins where we can get them. But it does seem like the walls are starting to crack in the great defense of antitrust across the board.
Yeah,
Right.
well, now the Justice Department, I mean, and that just kind of came out, I think, yesterday, that the Justice Department is going to investigate Ticketmaster. That doesn't mean they'll do anything, but at least those wheels are starting to turn, because, yeah, I mean, it's like Ticketmaster is absolutely disgusting for a number of reasons. We don't need to get into all that. That'd be like a whole other thing. But yeah, I mean, the theme remains of antitrust, where they're starting to be like, okay, we got to break some of this up, and that's, it really is important. I mean, some people are like, well, gee, live concerts, who gives a shit? If they're starting to finally enforce some antitrust in this country, that is huge, because a place where they desperately need to enforce it: Kroger and frickin' Albertsons. We are embarking on a reality where there might be a pretty much a monopoly on our frickin' groceries. And you look at how prices are already rising now with everything going on in the world. Imagine if a for-profit monopoly comes in, they're going to make that the new norm. They are going to price people out of existence. That's what is going to happen if nothing is done about this merger. So any piece of antitrust that we get goes a long frickin' way. And this is why we've been screaming about this stuff. Like people like me who focus on like the digital rights beats and antitrust and digital rights. This is why stuff like Elon Musk buying Twitter, stuff like Ticketmaster, stuff like, the homogenization of our groceries, which is freaking wild. I mean, I'll say this to everybody, and I'm not trying to be like over alarmist here, but I am freaking serious. Know where your community gardens are, support them, start collecting your freaking compost, give it to those community gardens. If you can grow your own food, do it. If you can't, because you live in an urban area, again, find out where those urban gardens are and get involved. Go to your freaking local farmers market. Folks, it's happening. I mean, it's happening. If this merger goes through, we are going to see a lot of food insecure people real quick in this country.
That's fucking terrifying, Ron, but I do appreciate you letting everybody know about that. Jesus Christ, there's nothing more devastating than the fact that we live in the wealthiest country of all time, where we overproduce food. I used to work on this project in Kansas City called Feed KC, right? And what the whole premise of it was like, obviously, capitalism isn't going to like cure the society or whatever, but there are all these businesses in Kansas City. They have all this food that's going to get wasted. They don't serve it to people that night. They throw it away because the health department won't let them keep it, right? And so it was just like this little app that some kid that was way smarter than I am made, and they could just type into the app, oh, we have a little bit of extra food at like the Panera on the Plaza, or we have a little bit of extra food at this like local place, and you just pick it up and take it to the like City Union Mission or wherever.
Yeah.
And that was like something that you could do to repurpose it. And then just the sheer amount of waste that we were learning about when just the tons and tons and tons in the city of Kansas City alone of waste. If you think about that in a city like California or even Los Angeles County writ large, how much waste there is, you could easily feed everybody. So just devastating to think that, there would be so many people going hungry, and it only will get worse. So, yeah.
It's a crime what we do to food, and it's a crime how much food we waste. It's like the stuff that we do to food in the United States that's like illegal in other countries because it's freaking gross as hell. And the amount of food we waste. I remember there used to be a nonprofit that was really cool. I don't think it's around anymore, but it was called Rock and Rap. And what it was you got to go, like different bands and artists would participate in it. And whenever they had like food left from their catering, they would have people come in and wrap it up and give it to like the homeless and stuff like that, give it to different like food banks and stuff like that. And in exchange for doing it, you were a volunteer, but in exchange, you got to go see the concert for free. And in most cases, you would meet the artist because they would like come out and thank you for doing it. And it was a really, I don't know why I don't think it's around anymore, but I don't know why. I mean, it seems like it was a really cool idea, but.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on today, Ron. Is there anything else that we wanted to touch on before we let you get out of here? Obviously, if you have any shows coming up, if you've got any things going on, I know you were doing the satirist performances. I'm not sure if those are still going on. What do you got going on?
I did my first, yeah, I'll let people know. I'll give a few call to actions, then I'll let people know where I'm at. So first of all, thank you for bringing that up. I did my show with Lucian the Satirist, which is a historical interpretation of a writer from 125 AD. I did do my first Renaissance fair last week in Fresno, and it was a good time. I had a lot of fun, man. It was definitely a learning experience, but I'm hoping it's the first of many fairs. I don't have anything on my website about the project yet, but I guess because it, has officially happened, I probably should. So I'll be doing that before the end of the year and hopefully doing some more fairs. Again, I'll let people know bidenpromise.us. Please sign the antitrust petition to get action on these antitrust bills. It is a huge topic right now, folks. And as far as I'm concerned, I do have some tour dates coming up. January 28th, I'll be in Tucson, Arizona. That's a stand-up show, and it's a screening of a short film I did called Loner. You can get tickets at my website, and you can use the promo code Lucy at checkout for a holiday/early bird special where you get discounted tickets. So don't wait, Tucson. Get them now. Makes a great holiday gift, and the show's on a Saturday night. February 10th, I'll be in Los Angeles at the Glendale Room. That's the first of 3 shows. I'm working on my 2023 festival hour, and I'm starting at home. So February 10th, I'll be in Los Angeles. February 17th, 18th, San Diego. April 14th, back in Los Angeles for the second show. May 12th, third show in Los Angeles. And I'll have more tour dates on the way soon. I'm going to be doing some stuff in the American Midwest, and I'm going to be probably doing the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, so some UK stuff. And yeah, ronplacone.com for all those tickets.
Hell yeah, come through Kansas City. We'd love to see you.
I'm gonna try. I mean, Chicago, Minneapolis, that's kind of like the short list, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'd love to hang out in person sometime, man. Really great
Cool.
chatting with you as always.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Of course, bro. We'll see you next month.
All right. Peace.
Peace. Ron Placone in the house. Always love chatting with my man, Ron.
Yeah, getting our news on with Ron. Shout out to you, Bruce Stevens. The Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race. Techno-feudalism. Yeah, it's really interesting. Obviously, there's a lot of shit about the Industrial Revolution I'm not prepared to turn my back on, like freezing to death, not being able to get rid of the 66 inches of snow that fell in Buffalo, modern medicine. I was watching The Crown the other day. I got like a little bit of I think it was like RSV, like really mild. And I got convinced that I'd like given myself cancer from like smoking pot. And I was like watching The Crown where the guy has to get his lung removed because he's got like a malignant tumor and he's like coughing up blood all the time. I'm like, this is me. And I'm like frantically Googling, like, can recreational marijuana use give you fucking cancer in 5 years? It's like a resounding no everywhere, but I'm digging deeper to try and find the yes in my like fucking state of hypochondria. So, personally, I'm really married to heat, entertainment, and the medical sciences. But yeah, fuck everything else, Bruce. I'm with you there.
Yeah, I got to get on that anarcho-primitivist shit. Come on, guys. Learn about anarcho-primitivism, an anarchist critique of civilization that advocates a return to non-civilized way of life through deindustrialization, abolition of the division of labor or specialization, and abandonment of large-scale organization and high technology. And the sad reality is that the anarcho-primitivism is basically the only way to actually like save the fucking world. It's not going to happen. Don't get me wrong. But as long as we have industrialization, there's really no going back. Like there's no stopping climate change. There's no stopping any of that. We're fucked. Anarcho-primitivism basically is the only way out. But again, unfortunately, it's not going to happen. As Noam Chomsky reminded us when we asked him about it, what did he say?
Yeah, all of your thoughts on whatever, Gavin, whatever your thoughts on utterly and completely irrelevant.
Yeah, I asked Noam Chomsky about this when we had him on the Vanguard, anarcho-primitivism. He's like, completely irrelevant. I was like, well, what the fuck, bro? What's your suggestion then?
Bro, it's hilarious. It's like you literally forged your whole career on like anarcho-syndicalism, and he's like, shut the fuck up about that. Anarchism, schmanarchism. Okay, vote for Joe Biden, damn it. Like, essentially, that was the pitch that Chomsky gave. Actually, we interviewed him after Joe Biden, but he was like, this is the only way. It's like it has to be done. Anyway, yeah. Shout out to you, Bruce. And speaking of food, it's deer season. Had you guys pegged as hunters? Surprised to see you working. Yeah, you know what? It's funny. The last time I tried to go hunting with Gavin, he did the whole Dick Cheney deal, so we've been putting it off for a while. I can't trust the guy. He might take a better shot this time. I apologized to him. I said, I'm sorry for getting in your way, sir. But who knows? He might take another shot at me when I'm not looking.
That's funny as fuck. Yeah, I shot Zach in the face. We were hunting quails. No, I'm just kidding. But that's fucking hilarious. Thank you, BW in Wisconsin. Yeah. Personally, I wouldn't probably be able to shoot a deer or really any other animal, but I do think it's. I mean, if you're gonna eat meat, I do think that's probably the better way to do it, right? So.
Oh yeah, I got a homie that he's comes into my bar all the time. Big hunter. It was also I guess duck season recently because he was super excited. He woke up at like fucking 4 o'clock in the morning, went to this place and was shooting ducks. Got like 5 of them. So I was like, oh, good for you, man. I would love to go hunting and do that, but I would need to get a bigger freezer. At some point, Gavin and I will move into an actual Casa del Vanguard where I can get like a large freezer. And then I would like to, get away from eating any meat that's not like, not to sound like Joe Rogan, but just to like divorce myself from like the fucking factory farm complex. Cause it's like, then I can really like push myself to do like complete nose to tail kind of consumption, which I do think is just infinitely better than the mass slaughter that we have. So I actually admire people that are able to go out there and hunt their own food and clean their own food and do all of that because it is it's just infinitely better for the ecosystem than what we have going on here. But I also understand it's not accessible for everyone. Even I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm not about to go buy a gun. I'm not about to go buy a bow and arrow. So I'd have to just like rely on a homie.
Kill it with your bare hands. Just fucking grab it by the fucking horns and rip its head open.
Yeah, I'm gonna go full on the Revenant, and I'm just gonna go out and fight a bear with my bare hands, Leo style. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. But really quickly before, oh shit, never mind. We got another super chat. Before we leave, I want to show you guys something disappointing as fuck.
Oh yeah, that's cool. We can get to that in a second. I also had one more thing I wanted to briefly talk about too. But thank you also, Sir Switch. Really appreciate the $5, Sir Switch Crookington. Thank you so much, Gavin. If you can just admit that we're effed in the future, no matter what, said we can't stop climate change. What reasons are you fighting for? Well, yeah, sorry for being a doomer, first of all. That is the reality. As long as we have an industrialized society, you can't like, oh, we're going to start using paper straws our way out of climate change. So that is the unfortunate reality. But that doesn't mean we can't mitigate it. That doesn't mean we can't like, stall the effects of it. So I think that we should definitely work to mitigate it. I'm not just saying we should let it rip and go all out fucking anarcho-capitalist. No, I'm in favor of reforms. I just think that reform isn't going to get us, isn't going to reverse climate change. It's only going to mitigate it. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, it's all about just taking care of the people that are here while we can, doing the best for the people that are here while we can, with the circumstances that we've been, you got to play the cards you're dealt, right? And you might, we've got like 7-9 offsuit as our deal. How are you going to play that into a winning hand? You're fucked basically. Almost anybody would muck that from jump, but you got to read the situation and try and play it the best you can. To use in a poker analogy for you, but there you go, Sir Switch. We're all gonna die, but you should still do your best you can to be nice to everybody while we're here. I eat critters that wander in my yard, porcupines and squirrels. Hey, good for you, dude. That's based. Ozark cooking, man. In the Ozark, squirrel is like a staple. Gavin and I are from Missouri. Ozark cooking, squirrel stew. Oh yeah, bro. It's just like fucking skinning a cat. Just take apart that porcupine.
Honestly, I didn't even know people ate porcupines. If you're being serious, Thomas, let me know how you prepare your porcupine, because I've never heard of eating that. I imagine it's pretty hard to get off all the fucking needles on its back or whatever. You know what I'm saying? All the spikes on them.
Yeah, I mean, I would just call it quail pig, and serve it as a modern delicacy. Tell people about its Victorian roots. I don't fucking know. But anyway, one thing I just got in the mail while we were doing this live stream this morning that I wanted to share with everybody was I was fortunate enough to get a letter in the mail from the U.S. Secretary of Education, Miguel A. Cardona. And it says, Zachary, this email provides you with an update on the one-time student loan debt relief plan that Biden and I announced on August 24th. We reviewed your application and determined that you are eligible for loan relief under the plan. We have sent this approval on to your loan servicer. You do not need to take any further action. Just to give everybody a clear picture of what's going on, Nelnet, run by the U.S. government, is my loan servicer. So they're telling me the U.S. government, that they've sent it to my other loan servicer within the U.S. government. Unfortunately, a number of lawsuits have been filed challenging the program, which have blocked our ability to discharge your debt at present. Again, debt I owe the federal government. We believe strongly that the lawsuits are meritless and the Department of Justice has appealed on our behalf. Your application is complete and approved, and we will discharge your approved debt if and when we prevail in court. We will update you when there are new developments. The Biden-Harris administration is committed to helping borrowers as they recover from the pandemic. Education is a great equalizer, and we will never stop fighting for you. In service, Miguel A. Cardona, U.S. Secretary of Education. And that'll probably be the last I ever heard about my supposed debt relief, as far as I'm concerned, guys. I have been skeptical as fuck about this. In fact, I can stand on my own 2 feet and say I have never, ever, ever really believed that this was going to go down. I remember months ago, they were goodly enough to invite us on the Crystal and Kyle and Friends podcast, and Crystal and Kyle were like, "Oh yeah," and that thing. I was like, let's just wait till the chicken. Well, let's just not count our chickens before they hatch on that one, guys. From what I understand, they did it in a really shoddy fashion. Then it went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and they were like, yeah, we're going to let it up. And then they were like, no, here's an avalanche of other lawsuits to take it away. And Brianna Joy Gray has probably done the best job of anybody out of covering this. I know she has a mountain of fucking student debt, so she's probably got a big personal dog in this fight as well, just like me. But I don't have nearly as much debt because I didn't go to law school and do anything meaningful with my life. But anyway, they've rigged this from jump with how they decided to go about, relieving the debt. So anyway, wanted to give everybody that update. If you were like me and you had like 1% hope left, take that 1% away and put it in your back pocket.
They're fighting hard for you, Zach. What do you think? Why do you think they sent out that email? They're fighting tooth and nail for your debt to be relieved.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Trust in Dark Brandon. No, you're 100% right. That is probably, unfortunately, the last we'll hear about that, which is crazy. But yeah. Also, we were talking a little bit more about Twitter and Elon Musk policies. So I wanted to vote in this poll, see what you guys were thinking, see what you were thinking, Zach. Should former President Trump be reinstated to Twitter? Yes or no? Yes.
100% yes.
Yes, I agree.
For the content.
For the content.
The people have voted.
For the lols.
It's like Matt Lex said when we had him on the show. He was like, you mean as like a fucking greedy ass content creator like everybody here? He was like, of course I want Donald Trump to run for president again.
Yeah, also that's pretty funny. Someone said they didn't ask for a donation at the bottom of the letter. Please rush a $5 donation to the Democrats so we can keep fighting tooth and nail for your debt relief. LOL.
LOL. Yeah. Shout out to you, Travers.
Also, sorry if you're just tuning in, Zach. We're literally at the end of our show. So you might want to rewind. We had a great conversation with Ron, and we're about to get the hell out of here. But we appreciate everyone for tuning in today. Had a lot of fun talking with Ron as always. Always have really good substantive conversations with Ron. He's such a smart guy. He's also low key, like he's not obsessed with his career and his image. Like he's not one of these fucking clout chasers. He's just a real ass, serious person, a really nice guy. Cares about his community a lot. All the love and respect in the world for Ron Placone. Go support him in any way you can. Make sure to subscribe to his channel, follow him on Twitter, all that good stuff. Out here fighting the good fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Ron, San Pedro's finest. Yeah, and go subscribe so you can get your news on with him. But anyway, I guess we'll go ahead and shout out the patrons and then get the fuck out of here for the day. Perhaps we'll be back with some more Sports Guard after the Chiefs game tomorrow. You guys know that we always like to come back and break down what happened with our fellers on the field over here, problematic name aside. Okay, I don't have any merchandise. I always yell at Gavin because every Sunday he wakes up and starts doing the tomahawk chop around the apartment. No, it's funny because I will just out my own father. That's how the man used to wake me up and my entire household every Chiefs game. He would like 8 o'clock in the morning. It would just be my dad opening everybody's bedroom door, doing the tomahawk chop. So yeah, that's the other side of being raised in the Midwest. And I bet you would still do it to this day. He would be like, yeah. Anyway, my dad dies on that hill. Anyway,
That is the unfortunate aspect of the football culture here in Kansas City. Definitely pretty embarrassing. Also, shout out to you. You sent us this message yesterday, and I didn't see it in time, but shout out to you and happy Epilepsy Awareness Month as a silent disease in the industry needs support. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely good to raise some awareness about that. And thanks for reminding us, Drizzle Stank.
Yeah, absolutely. Epilepsy is horrifying. I don't know a ton of people that have experience with epilepsy, but I remember when I was in a play one time, I had a homie that struggled with epilepsy, and that shit was real. And that was, even before you could get any kind of like, medical marijuana treatment and stuff like that back. So, they would just literally have seizures like during play practice sometimes. And yeah, absolutely. So shout out to you, Drizzle Stank. If anybody has the means to during this month, support some of that research. Obviously the medical industry in this country is so fucked up, especially for people who have chronic, lifelong, illnesses. They need our support because they're not getting it anywhere else. And that's why we fight for Medicare for all. That's why we fight for the profit motive to be removed from the medical care system, because nobody should have to deal with that. And if they have to deal with that, then they should be cared for adequately 100% of the way.
Absolutely. Yeah. So thanks for reminding us about that, Drizzle Stank. Really appreciate it. Everyone go find out more about epilepsy if you have some time. And thank you so much, AV, for the $5. Adios. Thanks for tuning in, AV. Really appreciate the super chat. Hope you enjoyed the conversation today. Thank you all for tuning in today. Thanks everyone for chatting along in the chat. Always like seeing what you guys are talking about. But yeah, really appreciate that, AV.
Yeah, shout out to you. Shout out to everybody that tuned in today. And yeah, we'll be back. And also, Sir Switch, I am excited for the fucking World Cup. Like, obviously I'm not excited that it's in Qatar because that place is, we're a fucking brutal and ruthless country. But so I guess people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. But anyway, there were a lot, like 6,500 people died making the fucking stadiums in Qatar for,
Seriously?
Yeah, you have no free speech. It's just a bunch of Indian and Filipino and Pakistani, like essentially slaves. They get paid like less than 40 cents an hour to go out there and work in the hot summer sun over 120 degrees. It's just been, they confiscated the workers' passports, so which is now no longer illegal. But when they were building the stadiums years ago, it was a huge controversy. FIFA is so fucking corrupt. It's like you're reading about your own fucking government or something. Like, I swear to God. So that's the back end of like the fucking the Olympics could be a cool like thing of socialism and fucking international solidarity. Like the World Cup could be a thing of socialism and international solidarity. And I don't think there's anything wrong with, bringing all these countries together to compete in a sport. I love that. I think that's very human. That's very much something we can all get behind. But yeah, you can't exploit these workers like that. And not only that, like you can't even criticize the Qatari government if you're in Qatar. Like they'll fucking kick you out. Like Sagar and Jetty was talking about how he lived in Qatar for 2 years, and when he was like, it's insane. So anyway, on Monday, hopefully the United States can tackle Wales. No pun intended. If we lose to Wales, that's going to be pretty fucking embarrassing. But we're a dog shit soccer team, football team. Sorry, Sir Switch. But yeah.
Yeah, we're probably gonna lose. I feel like the UK and Europe in general is far more invested in that than we are. I feel like we never actually make the World Cup, right?
It's not like we never make the World Cup. We just didn't make it to the last one. So nobody paid attention to it. But we fared out. We fared fine in the World Cup in what was it? Was it the South Africa with the vuvuzelas and shit like 8 years ago? With the that was the year I feel like the last time that the US team, it was like when Clint Dempsey and it was like Landon Donovan's last year, and I think like Graham Zuzi and some of those guys were playing on the team. Anyway, I don't follow soccer like crazy, but I remember that run in the World Cup. We beat England, I think.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm ignorant. But that's interesting. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy that if you're going to be watching. Thanks everyone for tuning in today. Links in the description, patreon.com/the Vanguard channel. Help us out if you can. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation today. We definitely did. Appreciate you all for tuning in.
Yeah, and fuck, I guess that was 12 years ago. Sorry, guys. Time flies. And yeah, the U.S. women's team is based. We won the Women's World Cup last time. The U.S. women's team is fucking fire. And let's not getting my years mixed up, but I remember when the U.S. won the Women's World Cup. But anyway.
Yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. Really appreciate it. We'll see you next time. If something happens tomorrow that we need to talk about, we'll probably hop on the mic. But if not, probably see you guys on Monday. I think we might be chatting with some friends of the show on Monday. We might be doing a healthcare panel with our friends from the Red Berets. I think we're having case study QB on pretty soon. Either way, stay tuned. Good stuff coming your guys' way. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Thanks for the super chats, guys. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, peace out, guys.